Happy Tuesday, it's Shannon Wilkie from the Shine Advocacy Group. Today I want to talk to you about sensory integrations at school. So you may have a child who has sensory needs, either because they have the medical diagnosis of autism or ADHD, or they're struggling with sensory processing disorder, which is also, the acronym is SPD. Sometimes it's also called sensory integration disorder. And basically that term just describes a collection of challenges that happen when our senses don't always respond properly to the world around us. So this can be kids who are really high sensory need. They're seeking behaviors, such as a child who's always, rubbing their hands on the wall when they walk by it, or even banging their head sometimes, or avoiding behaviors such as putting your hands in your ears, or the clothing that we wear. Jeans are too rough for us, and the clothing tags bother us. In these type of groups, you'll often hear people talking about what socks don't have tags on them, what doesn't bother their kids. They're more sensitive. So this isn't currently a diagnostic medical, a DSM code, but it is something that you can work with an occupational therapy to address, and then you also can get help at school. So oftentimes clients will reach out to me and they'll, say, my child is needing to jump, needing to get some of this sensory integration within their day. What's some tools that we can add? Those, if you have a 504 or IEP, those are called accommodations, such as movement breaks. If the child's younger, you can just spell out like 4 additional movement breaks. Sometimes there's like a small rebounding trampoline that really helps, or just, leadership type movement breaks when the kid gets older, like they're always the kid who gets to go to the office to run the errand or pass out papers. So if your child needs to move, I say, great, let's let them move. That will help reset them, and they'll be able to be energized within the classroom, and they'll be able to concentrate better. If they're becoming a distraction to themselves or others because of their sensory needs, let's address the sensory needs instead of correcting the child, okay? So that's one really common need for sensory processing. Another is avoidant type behavior. So hands in the ears, or the tags on clothes. Sometimes kids need a fidget. There's even jewelry that they can kind of chew on. If they're the kid who's always chewing on their shirt or their sleeve, you could get them jewelry if they're younger. If they're older, they may not want to wear that. So another type of manipulative or fidget that the school team can supply to your child will really help them kind of get that output and keep their hands busy. If they need noise canceling headphones because the noises, their ears are sensitive. Sometimes they hear things, it's been described to me as they hear things louder. It's almost like a sixth sense. And if the kid really just doesn't like the fire drill, if they're getting anxiety because it's coming, then they could maybe go outside to still, be safe during the fire drill, but have a heads up so they don't know that big noise is coming, and they have a sense of control. When my son was younger, he used to have to hold the remote, or I shouldn't say used to, he still does, because if the sound of the show or the movie was going to become too loud, he wanted to turn it down. So that gave him the sense of control. And at school for fire drills, he would just get a heads up and go outside with somebody. There's usually a few kids who want to do this, sensory processing needs or not. It's really loud. And so if they could go outside, then they become accustomed to it, and it gets easier with time. Or noise canceling headphones the school can supply if the room is just too loud for that student. So those are a couple examples of ways. We call it sometimes a sensory toolkit. There's all kinds of fidgets and ways to stimulate our senses to help calm it. Think of it, if your child is asking for that, if they need a small space or energy out, it's their body telling us, and all behavior is trying to tell us something, right? It's them telling us we need more activity at school, we need it quieter at school, we need this type of environment, and those needs change and they go through growth spurts, with the child's needs. And so if you can get outside services when they're young, and occupational therapists can really help with sensory integration. The reach of an occupational therapist at school, for those of you who work with me, you know that I'm a big proponent of getting help at school first. Your child is already there 8 hours a day, and less therapy outside of school means more time for them to run and play when they're already working so hard to concentrate well at school. But occupational therapy can be more medical in nature. And so the school's reach is usually fine motor, some, big motor type movements, things like that, but they're not going to work on the medical model, the right, left brain and such. The integrations of that would need to be outside therapies. If your child has huge needs, that would be something I would recommend also looking into outside the school. But if you have needs at school, it can be accommodated, or they can work with occupational therapists if they have an IEP or 504 to get some help with fine or large motor help at school. So if you want to talk more about it, definitely reach out to us, but don't forget that sensory needs can be addressed at school as well. Okay, thank you. Take care.